Wow. Thank you very much. I hope you're going to like me as much when I'm finished as when I start, because those of you who know me and have heard me before know that I'm going to talk very directly to you. And I do that because I understand why people succeed and why people fail. I've spent my life, doing these kinds of things. I was a university professor for years in the field of psychology and sociology. I studied human emotions. I studied how the mind works and why people end up where they end up. I spent many years in the criminal justice system doing counseling with people whose lives were messed up. And so my life has been primarily about empowering people through what I call a wake-up call. So I'm going to talk to you about some things like cause and effect, how the mind functions, why people succeed, why people stay average, and why people fail. Would that be of value to you if we could share some ideas around that? Yes. Okay? As far as my involvement with ACN, I had a good business background. I had many years of experience when Artie and I went in to look at ACN, and I can tell you we probably had a lot more background than some of your friends who tell you it won't work. We went in and we put this company under the microscope. We were not going to get involved with a company that A, had the wrong people leading it. Because in my experience, if the people at the top are not right, sooner or later, it's a problem for everybody else who's involved. You know how difficult it is in business and in life to find stand-up people who mean what they say, have the passion for what they're doing, and share the wealth with the rest of us? Sometimes opportunities come and they pass people by. And the interesting thing is that everybody's hearing the same information. Why is it then that one person will grab the ring of possibility and create great success, and the person sitting right next to him doesn't do a thing with the opportunity? You see, first thing I want to share with you and teach you is that I'm one person up here as far as you see. But I want you to know that that's an illusion. See, I'm not here alone. Every teacher who ever taught me, every mentor I ever had, every book I've ever read, every research I've ever done is here with me. And all I am is the messenger of what I've been taught. And I'm sharing it with you. But here's what I know about us as human beings. It's you individually that will take the information that I give you, and you will process that information through many limitations. You see, if you put your hand in front of your face, you will see there's space between your fingers, but you'll see that the fingers can block your vision, yes or no? These are all what I call filters of the mind. Is your experience with your parents a filter for how you see the world? Yes. How about your religion? Yes. How about your education? How about your belief about yourself? Yes. How about your position in the family if you had other siblings? Yes. How about your color and your ethnicity, your nationality? Yes. Are you getting the point? Behind these filters, you give all of what you're seeing in the present interpretation and meaning, okay, from the reaction of these filters. And in nanoseconds, you describe or interpret and then act upon what you believe to be true. Now, what follows that is that there are no similar realities. Each one of us, through the process of thinking, creates the reality we experience in life. Now, when someone really understands that, some things really begin to move in the way they're living life. But that understanding means nothing if it stays here. I'm not going to teach you anything you do not already know. I'm just going to remind you, because intuitively, we do know. We know when we're honest. We know when we're dishonest. We know when we have a work ethic. We know when we're lazy. We know all those things. But we need to know, where are they taking us? So the first rule of success is you have to give up some things. You're going to have to change some things, and I'm going to talk to you about the things that are going to need to be changed. Are you willing to listen? Yes. And if I tell you, are you willing to take it on? Yes. And are you willing to be truthful? Are you willing not to hide out? Because the information I can give you, I've lived my life finding it. Personal responsibility. That's first and foremost. Quit leaning on other people for your success. If an opportunity is in front of you, it is incumbent upon each of you, if you want it. That's why Dr. William James, the father of American psychology, was asked near the end of his life, what is the greatest contribution to humanity in your lifetime? To which he responded, listen closely, that a human being can alter the circumstances of their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. Their attitudes of mind. What's the creative force? This is what most people will live and die not knowing or not believing when they hear it. Your mind is creating your reality. How you use your mind, which means what type of thought do you use to put you where you are now? You see, let me talk to you a moment about the law of cause and effect. You see, this is the law of the universe. The highest form of wisdom is understanding the law of cause and effect as it relates not only to the events of the universe, but to the events of our lives. And in our lives, thought is the cause. How you think is what you become. Take the aggregate of your thoughts, be they positive or negative, and you don't need to be a genius to look at your life as a consequence. Show me negative people, and I'll show you miserable lives. Show me positive people, and I'm going to possibly see a dreamer and someone that's motivated to improve and change. So cause and effect, let's go a little deeper. Therefore, we understand. There's three words you need to understand. First, we have to be. Be. That means we need to become. That means we need to have motion and movement in a form of growth. We need to become, then we need to do. So it's be, then it's do, and then it's have. Now here's a problem with most people. They don't understand that. They're looking to have the having without becoming and then doing what they're becoming so they can deserve and justify the having. We have got it backwards, folks, or there'd be millions and millions of people successful. Check your own thinking. Do you concentrate on becoming better, or do you just concentrate on wanting more? Can you see the incongruence here? Understand the law. Be, become, do what you've learned in becoming. 3, I'm going to get what I get, okay? Let's look at it in the laws, the spiritual laws. I have to plant a seed before I can get a harvest. In the seed is already the consequence. Without the seed, there is no harvest. Now the mind. In the thought is the creative power of circumstance. In the nature of my thinking, I'm creating my emotions. And the combination of my thoughts and my emotions make me behave in a certain way. Those two make me behave. Over time, I develop habitual ways of thinking and reacting. And out of those habitual ways, I create my life. Circumstance is the end product. Thought is the cause. Now, this is an ongoing process. Everywhere you look in the universe, for every positive, there is a negative. For every yes, there is a no. For every up, there is a down. In the universe, you see this peculiar balance all the time, but you can't see it in your own lives. You have to get to that point if you want to prosper and grow and be happy and have better relationships in your life. You need to finally get this. In fact, I will say to you that the lack of understanding of this universal law of cause and effect is the reason for most failure that you're ever going to encounter. You see, conditions are conditions. Circumstances that are out there are events that happen. The only choice you and I have, the only real freedom we have, is how are we going to think about what's happened. And there is where we have choice that most people have given up. We've become habitual in our responses to circumstances. We seldom step back and say, I have a choice whether to get angry. I have a choice whether to be bitter. I have a choice whether to be resentful. I have a choice. Why am I giving up that choice and simply reacting like I've always reacted? You see, people are not trained. They're really not trained to be successful. They're not trained to understand the power of their minds. We get educated to get jobs. And what are jobs? Jobs take our ability to create and put them in a very, very narrow field, a vertical field called our profession. And everything we begin to interpret, the people we hang with, the people we go to dinner with, they all become in that circle for the most part. So what is our thinking limited to? What are the influences limited to? They're limited to the rather peculiar and exclusive surroundings that we get. Now, do people influence you? Do you think that we might be end products of a lot of that? What if the instruction, well-intentioned as it might have been, was wrong? Have you ever thought of that? Some of you in here had great talent, but maybe your sister or your brother that preceded you had a little more. And maybe your parents, when you were trying to become you, may have said, meaning well, please, your sister's the singer. And you stopped singing. What a shame. Did you have a choice? You didn't know back then you had a choice, but you do know today. Maybe back then you were reacting to everybody that's bigger than you when you're a little kid. Everybody that's older than you is sort of God to you. Uncles and aunts, when they speak when you're little kids, you can't wait to respond favorably, yes or no. What if they're giving you garbage? We were still listening, weren't we? You see, I started out as a young boy with polio. I was in an iron lung. The doctors told my mother he's not going to live. And then when I lived, the doctors told my mother he'll never walk again. Now either I made it or I got a twin brother that's standing in place for me. You see, when I started, I didn't have anything much going for me other than what I could muster up inside. And I learned some things about motivation, which I want to teach you. Every failure I know, without exception, waits to be motivated. Isn't that sick? If you're a person waiting to be pumped up to change your life, you better grab a moment of inspiration, internalize it, and get some fire in your belly, or it ain't going to happen, nothing's going to change. The only winner in the game is going to be the time on the clock. You're not going to win. Change is inevitable. Adjustment to change is inevitable. So I went on, and how many of you were laughed at when you were kids? Made fun of. Come on, let's own it. We've all had some of it, some more than others. Well, let me tell you something. How would you like to be my height, about this big around? I've compensated well. And you're going to school with braces on your legs, and kids are laughing at you, making fun of you. See, there's a choice there, isn't there? The choice is I could have decided to become what they were telling me, or I could dig somehow inside and say, I'm not letting them define me. You know what? That's a choice you better make from this day forward. Because I'm going to tell you your number one enemy. We've all had the same enemy from day one. Your number one enemy is the eyes, the words, and opinions of others about you. It's been controlling you all your life. You never discover who you are. You never discover your own unique miracle, the power you really have to shape your life. But you're going to have to change your thinking to do it. If your life isn't working, edit your thoughts. You had thoughts of unworkability. You were asking for things you didn't deserve. You were justifying things that were lies. You were making excuses that weren't true. You were blaming people that you shouldn't have been blaming. And that's our human condition. But getting away from it and getting out of it is possible. But we need to know what we're in and tell the truth about it. Two things. Two things you're going to have to give up if you want to really prosper, have a happy and successful life. Excuses and blame. So I'm going to give you a remedy. This remedy will work 100% of the time if you'll do it. Forgive anybody and everybody who ever did anything to you that was harmful to you, with no need for justification or kind response for the forgiveness. And here's why. You can't give that gift away until you forgive yourself for all of your mistakes and say, my slate is clean. I've got today. Today is my life. What do I plan to do with it from this moment forward? That's the deal of life. We all have had mess-ups. And then we're going to make a decision and a choice. We're going to turn left or we're going to turn right. And in that one choice can be a new destiny. Remember what Dr. James said. A human being can alter the circumstances of